everyone, my name is Sam and thanks for checking out this video. Make sure to hit the subscribe button down below and give the video a thumbs up. So this week I managed to actually read 6 books, which it's not as many as I had read on my other holiday weeks, but I am actually really happy with that. One of the days I just didn't read because I had so much going on and my eyes were all weird because of my contacts. And then another book was 800 pages, so I mean, like, there was just no way I was going to read that in a single day. So I almost got to 1 book a day, which I'm really, really happy with. So the first book that I read this week is Timekeeper by Tara Sim. I borrowed my copy from the library and it was due back, so I don't have it on me anymore, so I'll put the image there. This book was really interesting and I wasn't totally sure what was going to happen. I wasn't even totally sure what the summary was. It seemed a little vague and kind of all over the place in like the summary I had read on Goodreads and that kind of stuff. And after having read it, I can kind of understand why the summary was a little bit confusing. But the general concept is the clock towers. It's in England in an alternative kind of Victorian-y era. The general gist is each town and each geographic area's time is controlled by the clock tower. And if the clock tower breaks or goes missing, the community breaks or goes missing kind of concept. Our main character is actually a mechanic, so when these clocks go down, he is called upon to quickly go fix it so that the town can get back on the right time frame. Now, it is very clear from the beginning that this boy has not had an easy life. His father has gone missing. You find out as the book goes on that has to do with a clock tower, kind of exploding and going missing. There's also kind of a terrorist organization or person sabotaging clocks and blowing them up, which is actually killing mechanics. It is very clear from the beginning that our main character and his mother are really struggling financially as well as emotionally with the loss of their father. They miss him, they want him back, and they know that he's gone, but he's not dead kind of thing. The book begins when our character takes his first day back, going back to work as normal, and he goes to a clock tower, and he has, an apprentice when they're trying to fix things. And that's kind of all I can go into without spoilers. My most favorite part about this book was the romance. It is a male-male romance. I was honestly really happy that this wasn't kind of painted all over the book. It was just yes, this is a normal part of, this society, it's okay kind of thing. And then you got a romance and it was so cute. I'm not a big one for sappy romance, but it was so adorable and it just kept breaking my heart anytime they ran into barriers. I don't even know why. I just got so attached to them. And the ending was just I know we're going to get more of them in the sequel. I'm so excited about that now. The sequel, Chainbreaker, I believe actually came out this past Tuesday. So I'm going to try and keep an eye out to see if I can get a paperback copy of Timekeeper. I actually really like the paperback cover. They're both really nice, the hardcover and the paperback cover, but the paperback's slightly different and I really, really like that one more. So I'm going to see if I can get my hands on that and then eventually get a paperback copy of Chainbreaker. I actually also, when I was going through the book, kept being your mom doesn't seem to be doing much for you, dude. Maybe you need to strike out on your own, and you're both clearly going through some issues, but neither of you seem to be benefiting from you two being together in the same space. It seems to be hindering or hurting you guys more than it really is helping anyone. However, it really did progress over the course of the book, and I was actually really, really impressed when I got to the end that the author was able to kind of emotionally make me switch my mind without having a big, distinct moment where I was like, oh, yeah, maybe I was wrong. You were doing the right thing. The main character has a female best friend who I also really, really love. She's a mechanic, an actual mechanic, fixing vehicles and everything like that, which I really like. She was that emotional kind of support for him, which I think the main character really, really did need. He is not someone I think who in the situation could have survived being solo. However, he is definitely not popular. He doesn't have a ton of friends. So I felt like she was just kind of the perfect, she wasn't even really a sidekick. She was just a perfect companion for him to help him get through everything that he was going through. And the betrayal got me. I was not expecting the betrayal. I was kind of sidelined by that. But then I looked back and I was like, no, I just missed clues along the way because that's how I read. So yeah. Overall, I gave the book a 5 out of 5 or 4.5 out of 5 stars. I really, really enjoyed it and would highly, highly recommend it. It was really, really good. The second book that I read this week was The Revolution of Marina by Janet Fitch. I actually don't really have a review here to give just because I am doing a full video review that's going up on Tuesday, so you will see that. The third book that I read this week was Traitor's Blade by Sebastien de Castell, and Sebastien de Castell is now an instant buy author for me after this book. I have read his Spellslinger book. I am waiting for my copy of Shadow Black, which is the sequel to Spellslinger, and I'm going to read that as soon as I get it. And I found out that series is going to be 6 books. I thought it was just going to be a duology, and I am Oh, excited. Oh my god. I had like a mini freak out and kind of started crying when I read that online. So really, really happy about that. Anyways, his other series, Traitor's Blade, is one of 4 books of the Great Coats Quartet. I was calling it, I think, the Grey Coats Quartet. It's Great Coats. So our main character, Felicio, has not had an easy life. Man, I feel for this dude, and he's probably one of the best male characters I've read in a really long time. He's funny and realistic, and I feel for him, but I also, like, want to hold him accountable and won't justify him doing bad things. Like, he makes me feel like a really moral person. I mean, there are characters, Jamie Fraser, Jamie Fraser could, like, burn down an orphanage or, like, a humane society, and I could somehow probably, in my mind, justify it. So essentially the world in here has, like, there is a king, but there are kind of, like, below the king. Each community has a duke, and those dukes are power-hungry men. Man, that is, like, the easiest, most PG way I can say that. As a result of that, they killed the last king. And Felicio is one of the last king's elite guards, and he's kind of called, like, a coward, and through the legends that are told in this book, you find out why exactly the Great Coats don't have exactly, like, the highest reputation. People don't love them everywhere they go. But the king, before he died, gave Felicio a couple, like, quests. Well, he gave all of the Great Coats some quests, and Felicio is still dealing with the fact that he had to, like, abandon, as he sees it, the king by following the king's orders. And the king was, like, just a legitimately good person, and you could see in this world why he was not able to survive long, because he was a good person. Felicio and a couple other of his Great Coats are kind of slowly over the years trying to complete this quest, but they keep hitting, like, speed bumps. You know, they run out of money. They're, you know, no one's really willing to help them because no one trusts them. No one thinks they are who they are. Or there's the name of the Great Coats has been kind of dragged through the mud. And you really feel bad. And then you find out even more that Felicio's wife was murdered by the last duke, and, like, it's just heartbreaking, everything this guy goes through. But it kind of, everything picks up when he meets a girl. There's essentially, like, they go to a kingdom where there is literally a purge, like a week-long purge in the kingdom. And they just, like, at the end, they're like, oh yeah, way to go, we survived the purge. And then, I mean, it was just, it's basically like a medieval purge. Like, it was just, he spends the purge in this kingdom, essentially trying to protect this one young girl whose family has been assassinated because the duke in this kingdom does not like her family. So he has that family assassinated, but by the grace of God, one of the girls survives, and she's, like, you know, like a staff from the sun. I think she's like 10 years old or something like that. So he spends this book during the purge in this medieval kingdom while also trying to, like, protect his name, also protecting this little girl and trying to make sure she survives, because she wants to stay so that at the end of the purge her name can be recorded and her family's, you know, belongings and lineage and property can still be passed on rather than forfeited to the duke. Even after this purge in the kingdom, lots of stuff happens, and I can't really say anything because it'll give it away, but there's lots of, like, you know, identity reveals and lineage reveals, and there's just so much going on in this book, and I really, really loved it. And I'm so excited to see what the sequel is going to do. I absolutely love the tone and the sarcasm Castell writes with. It doesn't, like, it just, like, it's kind of like he manages to put some, like, comic relief in everything, in the dialogues and in the way that they think. There are some books where, like, characters will, like, kind of mutter a cuss or whatever whenever something bad happens, and they're like, oh fudge sticks. No, these people, like, actually swear, and, like, they just seem very realistic, but also in a medieval setting, but you can still kind of connect to them. I don't even know how to explain it exactly. I just love this guy's writing, so I'm just going to automatically buy and pre-order whatever he's got. Yeah, just in case I didn't say this, give this book, like, 1,000,000 out of 1,000,000 stars. It's so good. If you have not started reading this dude, at least give him one of them a shot. Spellslinger was really good. This is probably, I think I liked this one better. The 4th book that I read this week was Batman Nightwalker by Marie Lu. I have actually done and posted a video, just like a spoiler-free review for that, so I will link that in the description box down below so you can hear all my thoughts on it. But in general, I gave this book a 3.5-ish out of 5 stars. The 5th book that I read this week was Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone by J.K. Rowling, along with the Jim Kay illustrations. I have never actually sat down and worked my way completely through this book. I had gone through and just, like, looked at the pictures and been like, oh my god, those are beautiful, but I hadn't actually, like, read it while looking at the pictures on that page. And oh my god, I was originally like, okay, I want to try and find, like, who am I to review Harry Potter? It's Harry Potter. So my original idea was go in, read this book, and see if you can find some favorite pictures. I actually started crying while reading chapter 2. I literally now understand old people who have those nostalgia minutes. I literally just started weeping. I don't even know why. I was just remembering Harry Potter in my life, and just, I don't know why. It just made me sad. Well, it made me happy, but made me cry. In case you haven't actually read it or you don't own a copy, because I know that they can be a little bit pricey. At Indigo in Canada, they run at about $50 a pop, which is expensive. But keep an eye out for sales, because I know for Black Friday, Boxing Day, and I think on New Year's sales, they had them as basically buy the first one and get the second one free. So they're basically $25 a piece. I've also, where I tend to get mine, because, you know, $50 is an awful lot. And that's just for the small editions. The next books, I don't even know how big the next books are going to be, so I can't even imagine how expensive they're going to be. If you have a Costco in your area, or you've been to one, you know, if you can visit one, I've seen them at Costco every single time, and that's where I've been getting mine, actually, for $25 when they, like, right when they come out, which is something I can actually afford. So if you are Canadian and looking at that, definitely give that a try. I'm also really curious to see, because we have book 1, 2, and 3 in illustrated now, book 4, but I mean, book 4 is a beast of a size. So I don't know if they're actually going to make like a book 4 illustrated that's like this thick, or if they're going to do it in 2 volumes. I haven't really seen any information on that. If you have, please put it in the comment section down below. I'd be super, super like grateful. I've been looking everywhere and I can't seem to find any information. Favorite pictures. And I think this is honestly, if you twisted my arm, it made me pick. This picture is my favorite of like the whole thing. However, it's like wins by that much. It's like the Diagon Alley illustrations. I have like always like tried to imagine Diagon Alley, and I can never really do it on my own. I can never figure it out. And there's, you know, a couple different pages of them, and it's just the flourish and blots. I just absolutely love his illustrations in general, but like the detail put into it, but as well as like this just seems right to me. Like, it just, like, he read the book, and he gets it. I also really, really liked this page here with all of the house ghosts. It just, I don't know why, but I just love the whole black background, and, like, the ghosts moving and everything. Which also explains why I absolutely love this picture of Nearly Headless Nick. It's just, I also really love this Hermione one, of just how focused she looks, you know? Like, girl knows what she's doing. The last 2 are to do with dragons, so I feel like it's justifiable because it's dragons. I absolutely loved this whole, like, this is what different dragon eggs things looks like. That is so, so, so cool. And I love when books do that kind of thing. I think it's like Before She Ignites sent kind of something similar, just to show the differences, to help you kind of separate each species and everything like that. And the final one. It's so pretty. The dragon is like, it's the Norwegian Ridgeback. It's so cool. Yeah, essentially, if you don't own the illustrated editions, I would. I actually have quite a few friends that don't actually own a regular paperback edition of the Harry Potters. They read them as kids, liked them, but they're never going to reread them again. But they bought the illustrated editions just because of the illustrations for their kids, as well as they're just gorgeous. And the last book that I read this week was Glitter by April Lynn Pike. This was a reread for me. I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars again. I was curious to see if the ending was going to mess with me the same way that it did when I first read it. And yeah, I still like felt my heart drop when I read like the last page. The easiest way to summarize this is honestly with the description on the back. It is Breaking Bad meets Marie Antoinette. I would honestly really, really highly recommend this book. I love this book. The cover, too. Like, look at that. The sequel, Shatter, is coming out in February, which is kind of why I reread this. And, like, those covers on my shelves, they need to be there now. So our main character, through a series of situations and manipulations by her parents, is now engaged at the age of 6, I think she's 17, to wed the King of Versailles. So a tech corporation very sneakily bought the Palace of Versailles and has essentially reenacted like Baroque society. And everyone lives there, has to dress and act like it. And you have a class system and everything like that. And our main character is taking on the role of Marie Antoinette. And she's betrothed to a sociopathic king who is also the CEO of the tech company. She spends this book essentially selling a drug called glitter, sneakily selling it, should I say, to people in the society and then charging high prices for it in order to try and smuggle herself out. Because of who she is, her identity is very widely known inside the palace and outside. She's trying to escape it so that she doesn't have to marry said sociopathic king. And things go awry. Essentially, as soon as she starts, there's a little bit of romance. I found this book really, really interesting because the main character really, like, she has so little control over her life, whether it's the sociopathic fiance or her mother or her father. She is just trying to control one thing, and one thing that she tries to is her body, and she has this kind of obsession, and I would honestly say almost an addiction with her corset. She keeps trying to tighten it because she feels like she's being supported that way. And it was just such an interesting part of her. I don't know, I just found that part super interesting. It just continuously pops into my head. I honestly really love this book just because the main character is trying to be a good person, and just life is not helping her. She's just trying to do whatever she can to just be safe and just have control of her own life, and it's just not good. She's trying to, hide up a murder. She's trying to not get she's trying not to get discovered for selling the narcotics, but she's also trying to sell as much as she can while also protecting her friends and making sure no one overdoses, and just so much is going on, and she gets betrayed quite a few times, and the ending just ripped my heart out, like literally not to the last page, and then I realized exactly what was happening. So those are all of the books that I read this week. Let me know in the comment section down below if you've actually read any of these and what you thought of them. Make sure to check the description box for links to all of my social media. If you follow me, I will follow you back.